I want to talk to you today about the waiting season or the season of waiting in your life. I know most of you here, you must have experienced that period that you wait for something or you wait for someone, and you know what it means, what it is like to wait. You could be waiting for answers, you could be waiting for healing, you might even be waiting for a change in your circumstance, you could be waiting for a breakthrough or even for guidance. Sometimes waiting can be frustrating, it can be confusing, and in most cases, it could even be very painful. Sometimes waiting could be definite or it has limit or time limit, but sometimes it doesn't have time limit. For instance, if you have written an exam, maybe you wrote that exam in March and they tell you the result will be coming out in October. Yeah, within that period, you know when the result is going to come out. So it is defined, it's definite in that way. So you know when to wait for it. Though within that period, it might not be very difficult for you to wait. Yes, there will be that anxiety waiting for the result to come out. If you have gone for a medical test, then they tell you there, the lab scientist informs you that there will be culture of the blood or the urine or anything that they have taken from you. They'll tell you in the next 4-5 days, the result will be out, and then you'll be waiting for that call to confirm what the result is. But sometimes you might also be sick, and then when you're sick, you don't know how long that sickness is going to be before you get better. You don't know when it's going to be. You've been having that headache for 6, 5, 8 years. It's not stopping. You've done everything you can do. It appears that there is no remedy. There is no solution. It happens. You could also be in a state where you don't know what next to do. You've applied for so many jobs and those vacancies, nobody is inviting you for an interview. You've waited and it appears nothing is happening. You're in that waiting season. It could even be that you married and then you've been waiting for the fruit of the womb 5, 6, 7 years. Nothing is forthcoming. You don't know when, you don't know how. The doctors have told you you're well, you're strong. There's nothing wrong with your reproductive system. It could be this is the situation you're going through. You might also be waiting for you to get married. You feel you're at the right age now that you want to get married, but it appears nothing is happening. No one is asking you out. No man or no woman is coming to you for you to complete this. So you're in that waiting season. In such situations, you don't know when it's going to end. You're just there waiting. What matters most is, what are you doing with this waiting season? What are you doing with this period that you're waiting? Are you throwing out anxieties and frustrations onto people? Are you getting angry at people who are around you? Are you just wallowing in self-pity? Do you get withdrawn and think it's over? Do you think it's not going to happen again because you haven't been able to build a house? No, you can't anymore. You've not been able to get that mortgage. You feel it's been waiting, it's been delaying, you feel it's not going to happen again. What you do with this season of waiting is what defines you as a person, and that is what is also going to determine how you're going to progress or how you move away from that waiting season. Hey man, I'm going to tell you today, I've had my own fair share of waiting for things, waiting for breakthroughs, waiting for answers to be answers to my prayers, waiting to hear from God. So waiting can be frustrating, it can be confusing, sometimes it is very painful. When you're waiting, you feel you're stuck in between. Sometimes people tell you they're stuck between the Red Blue Sea and the devil and so on. That waiting place is quite uncomfortable and most times it's uncertain. You don't know what is going to come out of it. Have you had that experience before? But I want to tell you today that the Bible is telling us that waiting is not a wasted time. So that season of waiting is not wasted. It can even be a period that you will experience incredible growth. It can be a period of transformation and a period where you are being prepared for the future. God uses that period, that waiting season, to deepen your faith. He uses it to shape your character. So there is a reason when you're waiting, when you find yourself in that waiting season, there is a reason for that. I know we don't want to wait. We just want it now. When you go to the bus stop, you just rush into the bus. You don't even want to wait. You don't want to queue up. Some people go to the airport. They don't even want to queue up. They just look for ways to move in. People don't want to wait for things to be done. Everybody wants it right now. But there is a reason why you're experiencing or while you are in that waiting season of your life. According to the Cambridge English Dictionary, it defines waiting as to allow time, or a period where you allow time to go by, especially while you're staying in one place without doing much until someone comes, or even until something that you're expecting happens, or until you can do something that you want to do. So that waiting period is a time that something stays by. It's as if the world is still. It's as if the time has stood still. It's as if things are not changing. It's as if things are not moving as they should be. You're not moving back. You're not moving forward. You're just in that state of confusion, in that waiting period or waiting season of your time. It could be one of those hardest things to do. I remember going to the hospital sometime. I had a test and I was asked to wait for the result. The few hours I waited, I was so in shock. I was so scared. I was afraid until the result came out. So waiting can be a very difficult thing. And I want to tell you today that waiting is not just, or it's not even a delay, it's not a detour, but it's a tool that God is using to strengthen you. It's a tool that God is going to use to shape you. It's a tool that God is going to use to prepare you. So when you're in that waiting season, what do you do with it? Do you pray? Do you meditate? Do you talk to God? Do you build a better relationship with God? I want to tell you today that when you're in that waiting season, God will teach you to depend on Him. It's an opportunity for you to depend on God. Because when you're waiting on the Lord, or when you're waiting for something that is not forthcoming, God is going to use it to teach you to rely on Him. Because God is going to teach you that it's not on your strength, it's not on your own timing, but it is on His own. In this world we live in, we're only interested in quick results. We want that microwave time. 1 minute, 2 minutes is done. We take it, we eat it, we rush out. We want that immediate answers. But God, with Him, it is a bit different. God works on His own perfect timelines. His timelines might be very much different from yours. And that's why God is inviting you today. He's telling you, place your trust on Him. God is telling you to surrender to Him. God is telling you today to depend on Him. That fruit of the womb you've been waiting for. God is telling you today, depend on me, not on your own understanding. I know in our culture today, we want things very, very instant. We want quick answers. We want immediate results. But God's timing is not always our own timing. And He's asking you today to depend on Him. Talk to God. That waiting season, present it before Him. Instead of you going into self-pity, present it before God. Tell God about what you're going through. Tell Him what you want from Him. It doesn't mean nothing is happening when you're in waiting season. It means that you're leaning into the season of trusting God. So that season of waiting, I want you today to change it to the season of trusting God. Because whatever is beyond your control, that is where God's control starts. And that's why in Proverbs chapter 3, it tells us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him and He will make your path straight. So when you're in that waiting season, it tends to bring you closer to a point where God will then push you to the the finishing line. It is God. When you surrender to Him, when you exercise your faith, within that period, God is going to teach you to depend on Him. There is no one else you're going to depend on. When you're in that waiting season, the government might not help you. The medical doctors might not be able to help you. Your family might not be able to help you. Your spouse might not be there. Your children might not be there. But who are you going to depend on? It's just God. the Alpha, the Omega, the maker of heaven and earth, the God that created but was never created, the God who transcends beyond time, space, and matter. So I want to tell you today, brothers and sisters, that when you're in that waiting season, it will refine your character and help to build your strength. When you're made to wait, you see people displaying their impatience. You see people showing up, trying to show that the pride in them. And also some people will enter into that worry state. Because waiting period it could be a bit challenging if you don't manage it very well. But God will use that waiting period to build and refine your character. God is going to, within that period, God is going to teach you patience. He's going to teach you humility, and He will teach you to depend on Him. That's why in his letter to Romans chapter 5, Apostle Paul said, we also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character hope. So I want to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that waiting shows you those areas in your heart that need growth and opportunity to surrender to God. Because it's in those waiting seasons when you feel that progress is slow, when you feel that you're not moving forward, that is the time that God is working to strengthen your inner life. That's when God is working upon you to strengthen your inner being. I want to tell you that God is growing that fruit of patience and perseverance in you today, which will ultimately help to strengthen your faith in the name of Jesus Christ. So waiting is a period where you're shaped and your character is refined to look more like that of Christ. It's a building period. So each season of waiting can make you stronger. It will also make you more patient, and it will help to shape your heart to become more like that of Jesus Christ. If we go to the Bible again, David, the man after God's heart, when he was young, he was anointed by Samuel to become the king of Israel. But you know what happened? Between the day he was anointed to the day he actually became the king of Israel was about 15 years. So can you imagine today somebody comes to tell you that you've been anointed as the president of America or the prime minister of Great Britain, and then it takes 15 years for it to materialize? Within that period, what happens? Within the period of waiting, what would you do with it? Let's even think of what is happening now in America. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, they're contesting for the presidency of America. Now, within this period, the election will soon be held. I think it's on the 5th of November. Now, on that election day, they will be in their waiting season. I don't even think most of them will sleep the next few days. They wouldn't be able to, both of them, they wouldn't have time to sleep. So this period, they will be in their waiting season, watching, listening, speaking, talking until the total result comes out. So that's what waiting looks like. I'm just drawing it down for you to understand what it is all about. So today, brothers and sisters, I want to tell you that waiting will help to align you with God's perfect timing. God has His own timing, which is far much more different from ours. You may feel ready. You may feel that, this is a time for you to do something. You feel you've plotted the graph, you've planned it, you've built your spreadsheet. Everything appears to align. Everything appears to be okay. But God is the only one who sees the full picture. He's the one who sees the next second, the next minute, the next hour, and many years ahead. So sometimes God will ask you to wait because the timing is not right. He is the one who knows when it should be. God is the one who knows when you will get married to the right person. He is the one who knows when you will have a child. He is the one who knows the job that is good for you. You might be applying for different jobs, but it's God who knows the actual one. He is the one who knows the business that you go into that will be fruitful. So that's why in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it tells us that He has made everything beautiful in its time. So it's God that defines when things will happen in your life, because God's timing is always perfect. Even though we struggle to understand His timing, He knows when we need something. So when you're made to wait, that is the time God will have the opportunity to work things out in ways that will go beyond your understanding and even your expectations. So come on, That waiting season you're experiencing in your life now, that period you think is a delay, there's a reason for it. And it's time for you to wait that God will align you with his perfect timing. God often has a purpose for those things that you think are delays. And I want to let you know that if you're in that season of waiting, maybe God is preparing you. Maybe God is working on that circumstance around you. So whatever the season, I want to encourage you to trust that God's timing is not just good for you, but it is perfect. Have you ever thought that you were ready for something only to find out that things didn't go as planned, even when you've gone into it? Most times, God will ask us to wait because he sees things that we don't. His timing is perfect. So that waiting time allows God to bring things into alignment in ways that you can't see. It's like when a farmer plants a seed, he has to wait all through the seasons of germination, the seasons of growth for those trees or the seed he's planted, and also wait until the harvest comes. So God is aligning people, he's aligning circumstances, God is aligning situations, he's aligning resources, he's aligning everything to bring about his best for you in the name of Jesus Christ. So wait, that's a reason why you're in this waiting season. If you won't go back to the Bible in Genesis, Abraham and Sarah, the angel came to them and promised them that they will have a son, and the son will be called Isaac, and Abraham will become the father of all nations. Do you know that between the date of this prophecy, or between the date of the encounter with the angel and the date Isaac was born, it was 25 years. Some people will say that's quite a long time. People would even say that's a lifetime, but it doesn't matter. Do you know what matters is that they waited and God perfected his promises upon them. When you're in that waiting season, it's going to draw you closer to God. Waiting is an opportunity for you to build that closeness with God. It's a time when you can draw near to him through prayers, through worships, and through meditation on his word. And that's why Paul, when he wrote to the Philippians chapter 4, he encourages us that we should not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Jesus Christ. Amen. So instead of just fixating on what you're waiting for, instead of just focusing on that you think you don't have or you're expecting, God is asking you today to focus on him. You got to focus on God in prayer and worship and in reading his word. And when you do this, you'll find comfort, you'll find strength, and you'll find wisdom even in that season. So when you spend time with God in these seasons, you learn that God is enough for you. His presence, his love, his peace are enough to sustain you, even as you wait. And that's why the psalmist says, wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord, he says. So when you draw near to God in your waiting, God is going to fill you with his peace. He's going to fill you with strength. He's going to strengthen your heart in everything you do. In all of this, it is in God that you have to depend when you're waiting. Because you become more deeply rooted in God and less shaken by life's uncertainties when you depend on him. One good thing about waiting, when you're in this waiting season, is that it prepares you for what is next. Just like training before a race, athletes will train, they get prepared, they prepare themselves before a race or before an athlete meet or athletics event, or even the musicians, they get themselves prepared before a big event. They equip themselves. When they are preparing, this means they are now getting themselves ready for what is to come. Because most times when you think you're delayed by waiting for something, or when you're in this waiting season, it's a time for you to learn. It's a time for you to grow. It's also a time for you to mature in what you're working on. God is preparing you to handle that next season better than you would have. Let's think of this guy, the young boy Joseph in the Bible. He waited so many years between being sold into slavery and rising to power as a prime minister in Egypt. Those years he waited. He passed through a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, but they prepared him to fulfill God's purpose and God's plan upon his life. So I want to tell you, my brothers and sisters, God doesn't waste your time during waiting. Rather, he uses it to prepare you for the plans he has for you. So those years, they were not wasted by Joseph. Rather, they were used to mold him into a wise and humble leader. They were used to prepare him to save so many lives during famine. So that season of waiting is for a purpose. And it's for the fulfillment of that purpose that God has for you. It's going to equip you. God will equip you with strength. He will equip you with wisdom and prepare you for the things that you're going to face in the future. So waiting is not just about patience, brothers and sisters. Rather, it's about preparation. It's about getting ready. It's about being transformed. So during this waiting season, God will be equipping you for what lies ahead. He's going to get you ready. He's going to bring to fruition all the promises he had for you. Even the young boy Daniel in Daniel chapter 1 in the Bible, it says that he and his friends prepared for the future by obeying God and nurturing their relationship with him. So brothers and sisters, the waiting season is never a wasted time. God is using those seasons to draw you closer. God is using those seasons to shape your character. God is using those seasons to align you with his perfect timing. God is using those seasons to prepare you for what lies ahead. And that's why in Isaiah chapter 40:31, it assures us that those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. So brethren, God is promising you today that as you wait, he will refresh you. That as you wait, he will renew you. That as you wait, he will sustain you. So I want to encourage you to see this waiting season that you're experiencing in your life as an interruption. Don't just see it as an interruption, but I want you to see it as a divine appointment. I want you to see it as a chance to grow. I want you to see it as a time, an opportunity to trust God and to deepen your relationship with God. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. God bless you.